Hi, I'm Natalie, owner of the Sewing Studio, and today we are going to create one of my own projects, this cute little zipper pouch. One of my favorite things to create is any type of bag that I can get my hands on, and today I'm going to show you a little bit of one of my favorite projects. So let's go take a look at some of the things we'll need. So let's get started by taking a look at some of the materials that you'll need to complete this project. Some of the big items that we'll need are our cutting mat and a ruler that is large enough to fit over the fabrics that you'll be cutting down. You'll also need a pressing mat and an iron. And then for our sewing machine, you'll need just your standard sewing machine, and you'll need to have that loaded with the thread color that matches the project that you need. And it makes it a whole lot easier if you will use Wonder clips versus pins. We're going to be using vinyl, and it does not take pins very well, so Wonder clips are amazing. And then we'll take a look in just a second at the exact fabrics that you're going to need, and we'll start and make sure and always have our rotary cutter. You will need 2 of this main print, and that measurement will be 8 by 11. And then we'll need a coordinating print to go with that particular print. We'll need 2 pieces that are 4 by 12, 2 pieces that are 4 by 6, and 1 that is 2 by 12. We are using Fusible fleece to give it a little bit of body. We'll need 2 pieces that are 8 by 11, and we'll also need 1 piece that is 2 by 12. We'll be using one of the soft zippers. This one is 14 inches long, and it works great with this project. And you'll also need a piece of the vinyl that is 6 inches by 10 inches. So now we are going to start putting our bag together, and we've got to get some of our pieces prepped and ready to sew together. And on the main print for both pieces, you're going to take the Fusible fleece, and we're going to take it over to our ironing surface. One thing that I want to make sure that you're aware of is one side of this Fusible fleece is very bumpy, and that's actually glue that's going to adhere to our main fabric. So you always want to make sure that the bumpy side is facing the back of the fabric that you want to fuse to, and it's not facing down where it's going to stick to your iron surface. So I have the bumpy side up, and we're placing that fabric on top. You want to make sure and line up all your sides, and you can kind of just zhuzh it one way or the other. And then after you have that, we're going to press the 2 together. And I always start in the center, and I work my way out. And you'll just make sure afterwards that it does not pull loose from you. So you want to give it just a second to cool off so you're not touching a hot surface. But after you've pressed, you can just test one of the corners and see if it comes loose. If not, you've done a good job of pressing those together. And we'll do that for the 2 main prints. And you're also going to take that piece that was 2 by 12, and you're going to put the Fusible on the back of it as well. And now we need to finish off those last pieces in preparation to sew it all together. And with the pieces that are left, what we need to do is take and flip it over to the wrong side of the fabric, and then we'll fold it hot dog style towards one side, and we're going to press. We're going to open that up, and then we're going to press to the centers here. And that way we have all those raw edges hidden in our seams, and it'll make it much easier for us to deal with here in just a little bit. So I'll finish pressing that other side, and then sometimes it kind of releases that back seam, so I close it all together, and I'll hit it one more time with that iron. And then we'll have all of our pieces ready to sew together. All right, to get our project started, we are going to start by adding the coordinating prints to the side of our vinyl sheet. And we'll open up that fold that we created, slide the vinyl into that opening, and then close it. That way we can sew through everything. And it's a little bit easier to sew vinyl this way. Vinyl likes to stick to the surface of your sewing machine, and so that way we've collapsed it inside of our fabric, and it'll be a little bit easier. If you want your window to show more, then you can slide this open a little bit more and not insert your vinyl as far into the fold. We've given you extra room to make that work. So after you have it situated on the side of your vinyl, you're going to put it underneath your presser foot, And then here, I like to use just a standard J-foot, general purpose foot on the baby lock. And I'm going to take and move my needle all the way over to the left. And I'm going to line up my strip here on the inside of this foot. And that'll give me a good guide to sew down. And that's going to make that needle be just a little bit too far over for me. So I'm going to back that stitch off just about to 1 or 1.5. And then that'll make this sew over to the side, but not on the edge. So then we'll just sew that down that side. I'll also say, if you find that the vinyl's trying to stick to the surface of your sewing machine, you can lift it just a bit as you go through, and that'll kind of prevent that from happening. For these particular pieces, we won't need to backstitch on the top and bottom because those seams will be covered. And I'm going to do the same process for the other side of that vinyl piece and then for the top. I'll finish that up and we will take a look at the next step. Okay, so we're ready to start putting everything together. And with that, we're going to add the zipper to the top. We want to lay this just on top of here. What's really nice with our project is we have a completely finished edge on the top here, and so we don't have to worry about hiding raw edges or doing anything like that. So we're just going to lay our coordinating print on top of our zipper, and we're going to sew down that side. So I will get it started here. What's best is to have the zipper teeth laid just against the right side of our multi-purpose foot, and then space this out the way you want it to be, and we'll move our needle into that position so that it sits where we need to sew right down the side. So I'm going to drop my foot so I can see. We'll move our needle over so that it's sitting just kind of to the left side of our foot here, and we're catching the fabric, but we're trying to stay as close as we can get so that we make sure and catch the zipper underneath. And so when I have that all set, I'm going to sew down this side. The other nice piece with having a really long zipper is that we can keep the zipper teeth and the zipper pull completely out of our way up here, and we don't have to mess with moving it around as we sew. So we'll just take and sew those two pieces together, being mindful that we're keeping our zipper teeth on the right side of our foot, and I'm lining up my coordinating print with the inside metal piece of this multi-purpose foot. Just kind of adjust as you go. So then that piece is complete, and our zipper is attached to our vinyl. Then to finish the top side of our zipper, we're going to take that 2x12 piece and fit it on the top of our zipper, and we're going to take and lay the right side of the zipper up, and we're going to take our coordinating print and lay it right side down on top. And I think it's a little bit easier if you take and flip it over so that your zipper shows. And again, those pieces are long, so you have room to work with. And so this time, we're actually going to take our zipper teeth and line them up with the left side of our foot, and you'll just be able to see that they sit nicely there. If they get underneath your foot, they tend to push away, and it'll leave you with a seam that's not very straight. So that's why I like to lay them right next to the teeth. And then we're going to move our needle all the way over to the left-hand side, and so keeping those zipper teeth against the left side of our foot. And just be mindful that we're keeping straight as we go. And you want to sew just so that you're past the side of that vinyl piece. That way, when we flip it back over, we've finished the top of our zipper bag. Now this will continue to flip open at us if we don't top stitch that down. So we'll take it back underneath our foot. I'm going to lay my piece in so that the coordinating print, the edge of the coordinating print on this right side is against the inside of the left side of this foot. So I'm going to run it just inside, and that's how I keep a nice straight seam, and we have some place to watch. I have my needle all the way to the left, and it's not going to catch my fabric very well, so I'm going to move it back to the right just a little bit so that it'll catch that fabric a little nicer. And we'll finish off our zipper. And there you can see we have our zipper attached, and we can pull it all the way through. You want to make sure and check that your zipper opens properly and that you've not sewn too close to your teeth, and we can finish up our bag. So let's take a look at that. All right, so now that we have that zipper attached, remember I talked about the fact that we made this back piece a little bit larger. That way, depending on how you put these sides on, you had a little bit of piece to work with. But now we need those pieces to match. And so here we will take and line up the vinyl pocket with one of our coordinating print pieces. And I've just kind of centered it here and made sure that the bottom is lined up with this fabric so that I don't have to cut that side. And then I'm going to trim the sides even with the top. One thing that I need you to make sure and note that your zipper has to be moved into your bag, because if I cut here on this side, I'm going to remove my zipper pull completely from my project, and you won't be able to open your cute zipper pouch. So make sure that we move that in before we do any of our trimming. It's kind of in the center, out of our way, and it keeps it nice and safe. So we'll take and line up a mark on our ruler. It doesn't make any difference what line you start with. I just take one line and line it up across the bottom, and then now I can move my ruler from side to side, and I'm staying nice and square with this bottom. And so I'll move it just to the edge of the blue fabric. If this particular side was not straight, then, and you cut through it a little bit, that's perfectly fine. We're just trying to get everything to be the same size at this point. So then that way we have that nice and clean. And then we're going to turn our project over. You never want to cut over your hand. It's very dangerous. You want to make sure and turn your project so that you're able to cut past your hand and not over your hand. So then we'll take and make sure that we're still nice and square on the two sides. This time, the piece that I'm lining up is going to be here on the top. This zipper is in my way a little bit, so I'm going to move it to the side, but make sure that you don't move it all the way over, because it'll actually come off this side right now. So I've moved it over out of the way of my ruler, but not completely off of my project. I'll line up again with that bottom edge so that we're staying nice and straight, and then I'll come over so that I can trim even here. So now you can see that it's looking much more like our zipper pouch. And the only thing left is on the top, it may be a little bit longer than you need it to be. And so you can just flip your whole project over, making sure to keep everything nice and straight here. And then just trimming off that piece on the top. And you can use scissors too. That zipper is kind of in my way, but I'm just watching out for it so that it doesn't move, and going nice and slow across that piece. That way we have the front and the back matching. And what this is going to create is the actual pocket of the pencil pouch itself. And then that way we will be able to finish it up. So here we are back at the sewing machine, and because we're going to put the back on our project in a second, we have multiple layers here that we're working with, and it makes it a little bit easier if we'll baste this top piece that has the vinyl to that main print that creates our pocket, and that keeps it all together nice and straight and easier for you to work with. So I'm just going to take and line up the edge of my fabric with the inside of this right side of the foot. And that way I'll just watch it all the way down. I have my needle at center position, so we're less than 1/4 inch in our stitch width. And we're just gonna go down all the way down this side. Making sure to line up our pieces as we go. We'll cut it loose here. Turn it, make sure that our project is still lined up and it's nice and tight. Again, I'm not doing any back stitching at this point because all of these seams are going to be hidden, and so we don't really have to worry about it yet. And then I always do that side that has the end of our zipper open last. We have all the other sides really kind of holding it nice and square, and that allows this zipper to line up really nicely too when we come back to this side. So we're going to do that last side now. And cut it loose. Now we have that back piece of our pocket attached to the vinyl front piece, and now you can see we actually have a pocket that we can start to use. So now we are ready to add that back piece. All right, so we're ready to start kind of getting this finished up. And I've taken the other piece of my main print, and that's going to be the back of my zipper pouch. And so here's how we're going to attach that so it's not such a difficult task. We're going to take our main print and we're going to leave it face up, and then we're going to take the piece that is our pocket and actually place it face down on top of that back piece. Now we're going to flip this in a second. So the same sides that we basted are going to be the sides that we sew. We're not going to sew this bottom piece here because that's how we're going to flip this inside out and have it look really nice without all the drama of adding a lining separately. So you can also see that the back piece is longer, and I'm going to sew it down and then I'll trim it even before we flip. Just going to make sure that I'm kind of square on that back fabric. We'll line it up underneath again. This time I have my needle at center position and I am lined up here on the right side of that foot. So the edge of my pocket piece is on the left side of my foot, and we're just going to sew down this side, across the front, and down the other side. When I get to the corner, I just make sure that my needle is down in my fabric. We can lift up the lever on our presser foot, pivot this around in front of us, and keep going. That way we don't have to worry about back stitching and that coming unstitched on us. Get to that far corner, pivot. If you pivot and you notice that you're not far enough over, you're just going to pivot back, take one more stitch, and then pivot again, and you'll see that I line up much nicer. All right, so we have all three sides and we are ready to flip our bag so that we have the right sides out. I'm going to trim that up real quick and dog ear my corners. So just here on the angle, making sure to dog ears those so that our corners look really nice on the top when we flip. All right, so now we are ready to flip our bag inside out and add that bottom trim to finish up our bag. So to flip this bag, the one thing I want you to watch is that you don't crinkle your vinyl too badly. You are going to have to a little bit, but as you're flipping, just be mindful of your vinyl. So there we have it flipped inside out, and you can see now that we have a back to our zipper pouch and all that fusible fleece is hidden inside of the bag. If you flipped your bag and you notice that you have the back side of one of your fleeces showing, it's that you flipped the wrong side of your vinyl. So just reflip it inside out and make sure that you can feel the zipper tab and flip from that side. The other thing I like to do is take a pencil or a chopstick and go into these corners so that they look really nice and flat. And then that takes and finishes off that piece. We'll also take it over to the iron real quickly and press this so that these are laying here on the side really flat, and then we're ready to add that bottom piece. All right, now we're ready to finish up our bag. The only thing we need to do is encase the bottom part of our vinyl pouch inside this other coordinating print, and it is long so that we can fold those edges over. So the first thing that I want to do to make this a little bit easier is we're going to open up that coordinating print and making sure that the folds are still towards the inside, and we're going to lay our zipper pouch over that piece and line it up so that it's kind of in the center of that coordinating piece, and that's what will come over in a second. It'll make it a whole lot easier for yourself if you'll go ahead and sew on this piece to hold it down, and then we'll come back and actually finish it up. So I'm going to take the edge of my zipper pouch and lay it towards the inside of my foot here on the right hand side, and I'm just going to move my needle over so that it catches it, kind of basting this in place, and that'll also help your zipper pouch lay a little bit flatter. You'll want to make sure and hold this pretty well, and as it wants to kind of stretch, you're also going to be stretching it as, there we go. So we're kind of stretching that piece out as we sew so that it'll lay nice and flat. As it gets here to the edge, it'll try to get caught under a foot, so just lift up your presser foot here and catch that piece underneath it. Okay, that way we have that basted together and we don't have to worry about it slipping any on us. Okay, so here what we're going to do is we're actually just going to fold up these edges on both sides. So we'll fold them like this, and then we're going to take the bottom and fold it up on top of it. And what you'll need to do is just work with it a little bit so that it all folds in really nicely together and you're hiding all those raw edges. And that's what these Wonder clips are really good for. So it'll hold it in place while I finish up that bottom seam. So I'll work with that and we will finish up this last seam. So after we have it all lined up the way that you like it and you've got your edges hidden and you're ready to go back underneath here, that's what we're going to make sure and catch. Now this may try to stick on you, so I'm going to make sure that I'm really under my foot really nicely, and then we can always back up to make sure and catch that side. Here we're going to move our needle all the way over to the left and catch the top of that seam as we go down. So again, if it tries to catch on you, just move your foot in a little bit. We'll back up to the outside edge and then we'll come forward again. And then we're just going to walk down that seam and finish up that bag. It's going to try to roll and pull at you, and that's okay. Just work with it as you come down. And we can take up a little bit of that slack when we get to the other side. Making sure to backstitch at the edge so that we can really reinforce those stitches across the bottom. Now we have our finished project. I love this pencil pouch. There's so many different things you can do with it. It's very functional with the zipper that we've added, and you can see all the different varieties you can create. Here's an example using some different fabrics, and I just love all of them. If you liked what you saw today, make sure you like and subscribe to our channel, and if you want to receive those notifications, make sure you click on the bell icon. Thanks for letting us turn your inspiration into a creation.